A through Z vinyl challenge. Y'all know I was coming for this. Let's get to it, man. All right. Welcome back to June's Music Corner. Thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, go ahead and stick around. This should be a good one. All right. So today we are taking on the A through Z vinyl challenge presented by Vinyl Vulture. Y'all go give him a subscribe and thank him for throwing this challenge out there. Now it's pretty simple. You're going to take the alphabet, 26 letters. You're going to find 26 records and the title, a title for each letter of the alphabet. Now, the only real rule is once you choose a record, the artist, the band, the group, whatever you choose, you cannot use them more than once. So that's really the only rule, other than making sure you know your letters. But so I chose my 26. And I did my best to pick records that I haven't shown on this channel. There may be one or two that I have, but I did my best to grab some records that I haven't shown. So let's get into it, man. All right, so letter A. I went with the man himself, Mr. Barrington Levy, and this is Acoustica Levy. And this is like a compilation of a lot of his big songs that are all done to acoustic music. It's a nice record. If you haven't heard this record, go ahead and check it out. If you're not familiar with Barrington Levy, this would be a good record to step into to get familiar with his music. But most people know who Barrington Levy is. But this is my choice for A. This was released in 2015. And it's not that expensive. So if you haven't heard this album, go pick it up, man. You can get it between $10 to $15. So this is A, Acoustica Levy by Mr. Barrington Levy. Let's move on. All right, so for B, I went with Boss. And this is her debut, Born Gangsters. You know, not too long ago, we lost Boss. And dealing with some health issues that, you know, things happen, man. And shout out to her family, condolences. But Boss came out hard. She came out hard with this album, and she caught a lot of flack because, you know, people say she was a studio gangster. She wasn't really living that life. Whatever, man. It was a good album. It was a good effort. She had some good tracks on there, and a lot of respect. So, R.I.P. Boss, and this is my B, Born Gangsters by Boss. All right, for C, I went with the mixtape, You Can't Sell Dope Forever, by the Outlaws and Dead Prez. This was a mixtape they did together. And you know, the Outlaws are Tupac's Outlaws, his group of young homies and family members that rode with him. And of course, you know, M1, Stickman, Dead Prez. One of my favorite groups, I might add. So there was no question I had to get this record in my collection. Another one that you can get for not too much, and it's a good album if you into that type of thing. Shout out Dead Prez, shout out the Outlaws, and you know, not too long ago we lost Young Noble as well. So R.I.P. Young Noble. Now always remember, man, you can't sell dope forever. Let's move on. All right, for D. I went with the Ghetto Boys, and this is Da Bad, Da Good, and Da Ugly. Not their most popular album, not my favorite Ghetto Boys album by far, but there is some good tracks up here. And this was only Bushwick had no part in this album, and you know, it was Willie D, Scarface, and everybody else that was on Rap A Lot. If there was a lot of features on this album. That's why I say it's not my favorite album. It's a super rare one. This one's kind of hard to come by. It was only pressed in Europe. My copy came from Sweden. So you know what how that shipping was. But Ghetto Boys, one of my favorite groups, and wanted to complete that collection of material that was pressed on vinyl. And this was one that I had to get. So again, for D, this is Da Good, Da Bad, and Da Ugly by them GBs, Ghetto Boys. Let's move on. All right, where we at? E. For E, I went with Even in Darkness by the Dungeon Family. If you know, you know. Dungeon Family, Atlanta collective, started by Rico Wade. You know, it's Rico Wade, Ray Murray, Sleepy Brown, Organized Noise, and a lot of their artists they produce. Well, this is the whole Dungeon. You know, you got Outkast, Goody Mob, Backbone, Witch Doctor, Slim, not Slim, Cool Breeze, my bad. But this was an album where they all came together and did their thing. This was a reissue. This was the 15th anniversary reissue. So if you know, you know, and if you don't, go check it out. Shout out to the Dungeon Family, R.I.P. Rico Wade, Even in Darkness. All right, for F, I chose a Popcaan, and this is Forever. This is Popcaan's second album. This is a 3 LP. If you know, Popcaan was Vybz Kartel's protege, and you know, Vybz Kartel, he went away for a while, and Popcaan kind of blew, and so this is the second album. This is a good album. Popcaan doesn't really disappoint when it comes to albums. He's earned his due. I give him that. He's a good artist. So that's what I chose for F. This is Forever by Popcaan or Pop Skull. Yeah, man. Let's move on. All right, coming in for G. I chose Gang Affiliated by the Gospel Gangsters. Now, I picked this up not too long ago. This album was never pressed on vinyl. I believe it was last year. They pressed up some on blue vinyl. But when I heard that they pressed this up on vinyl, I had to get it. I did have this cassette as a child. There was some older guys that at a function where my youth group from church went and trying to reach the younger guys and, you know, trying to save us from that rap music. I was introduced to the Gospel Gangsters, who it's a group from out of California. They were ex bangers who changed their life and were trying to do right. I get that, but I never would have listened to it or paid it any attention if the music wasn't any good. And the music was good. Mr. Solo, TikTok, Chili Chill, and you had DJ Dove. But Mr. Solo, R.I.P. Mr. Solo died not too long ago. I loved his flow. And it kept me listening. So I did pick this up, and this is my choice for G. This is Gang Affiliated by the Gospel Gangsters. If you've never heard this one, they've got a song called Mobbing with Them Gangsters. That's one of my favorite up here. Why Can't the Homies Hear Me is a good one. Like I say, it was a good album. It's good music. It's not super preachy, and you got to respect it for what it is. So shout out them Gospel Gangsters, R.I.P. Solo, Gang Affiliated. All right, now H. For H, I went with High Five and their debut self-titled High Five album. This album is just nostalgia, man. When I put this album on, I listen to it. It takes me back back in the day from I Like the Way, the Kissing Game. Then you got Just Can't Handle It. There was some joints on this on this album, and I want to say this was yes, Teddy Riley, man. So like this was you couldn't lose with Teddy Riley. You still can't lose with Teddy Riley. But shout out High Five. I don't know if these they were young when this album came out, and I know like later on a few of the guys had some real issues in their life. But I know my guy, I believe his name was Tony Thompson. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I know he ended up passing. And one of the other guys had to go sit down and do some time. But classic album, man. And like I say, very nostalgic. But this is my choice for H. High Five. All right, so now we are on I. And for I went with my guy, Sam Salter. And it's on tonight. It's on tonight. What year was this? This was, I was in high school. This is 97. This was a Smooth brother. I believe the lead singer on this was After 12, Before 6. But this entire album is a go. To this day, it's a go. He had another album after this, and that one was good too, like Once Mine, Always Mine. But this is an album that you can I can put this on and let this one go. It's smooth. And I don't think Sam Salter ever really got his respect that he deserved. But this was a great album. It's on tonight by Mr. Sam Salter. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. And you're late. 97. Let's keep moving though. All right, we are on J. And for J, I chose the self-titled Johnny Gill. Not really much to say about this. This was a big album for Johnny. This was, after he joined New Edition, and New Edition kind of everybody was going their way. BBD was doing their thing. Bobby had been doing his thing. But, Johnny was doing his thing before New Edition, but this one went. And this was a good one. Also nostalgic. So this is my J choice. Self-titled Johnny Gill. Let's move along. All right, we are at K. And for K, I chose Kill at Will. This is Ice Cube's second project. It's an EP released not too long after his fantastic debut, America's Most Wanted, after his departure from NWA. Not many songs on this, but this was a solid EP. And this is my choice for K. So shout out Cube, Kill at Will. And we moving on. I gotta say, with this, I don't think I've shown any of these records that I've already shown, and I tried. So it took me some digging, and there was some stuff where I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick this, but then I'm like, I talked about that album before or something. But moving along. All right, we are at L. And for L, I chose Above the Law. This is Living Like Hustlers. Classic West Coast album, man. This was their first on Ruthless, and Code 187 did a lot of production. Dre gets a lot of credit for this album, but Code 187 he's a dope producer on his own, and he had produced the majority of the album. And Dre came in, and he did his thing and tweaked some stuff, and it came out great. But so this is my L. Living Like Hustlers by Above the Law. Classic West Coast. Let's go. All right, M. We are at M. And for M, I chose Mama Badu herself. And this is Mama's Gun. This is it's a reissue, but this is the music on vinyl pressing. Great sounding records, man. And not too much to say, Badu always brings it. And you should have heard this album by now. If not, go get it, man. And show Badu some love. So this is my M, Mama's Gun. Moving along. All right, N. All right, and for N, I went with one of my favorite groups. This is Digital Underground, and this is No Nose Job, The Legend of Digital Underground. Now on this is a lot of remixes and unreleased versions of certain songs. But the crazy thing that gets me about this album is, like it's titled, No Nose Job, The Legend of Digital Underground. And unless you bought the CD version or something like that, like the No Nose Job is not on like the vinyl release of this, which to this day kind of bugs me out. Like, it could have put one up there and it would have sufficed for you naming the album No Nose Job, or maybe you should have named it something else. But shout out to Digital Underground, RIP Shock G, RIP Pac, shout out Money B and everybody. No Nose Job, Legend of Digital Underground. My choice for N. Humpty Hump. Let's move on, man. All right, so we're at O. For O, I chose 100. And that is by Scarface and The Product. This was careful. This was kind of like a group with Scarface. These guys were super fortunate to have been chosen to participate and create this album with Scarface. It's billed as Scarface Presents The Product, but Scarface is featured throughout the album. So I always file this with my Scarface records. But this is 100, and it's a dope album. If you haven't heard this one, check it out, man. Shout out Face, for real. Moving on. All right, so for P, I chose Power to the People and the Beats by Public Enemy. And this is a greatest hits, double LP. And come on, man. Legendary Public Enemy. There's nothing that I need to say that hasn't already been said about this almost perfect group. So we're gonna keep it moving. Shout out Public Enemy, man. All right, for Q. Now Q I thought was gonna be hard, but it wasn't, because I only had one album that the title started with Q. And I also tried to keep this full LPs, but like I say, I only had one album that started with the letter Q. And it's not even the full album, it's just the 12-inch. This is Quo. This is Quo Funk. 12-inch single featuring Brownstone plus a remix with Vicious. If you were around in the 90s and you watched video shows, you definitely saw these two guys signed to Michael Jackson's label. That was their album cover for their full cover. But Michael Jackson had started a label, MJ Music, and he signed these guys. They had a couple singles out. Funk was one of them, and it was pretty good, man. So this is my choice for Q, and this is Quo and Quo Funk. Let's move on. All right, so R. Rolling into R. I chose Slick Rick's second album, The Ruler's Back. This is a reissue. Slick Rick, man. This is not The Great Adventures, but it's still Slick Rick. And you can appreciate Slick Rick's wordplay. Excuse me. You can appreciate Slick Rick's wordplay anywhere he's speaking. So shout out Slick Rick and The Ruler's Back. All right, so S. For S, I chose The Coup, one of my favorite groups. This is Sorry to Bother You. The album, not the soundtrack. Yeah, man. Boots Riley, The Coup, RIP Pam the Funkstress. One of my favorite groups. So there was another Coup album that I I was gonna choose, but I was like, you've shown that record before. And I don't believe I've shown this record before. This is one of their rarer and harder to get pieces on vinyl. And this album was different than their previous albums. There was a big difference in the style of music. Boo still does his thing, but it's different. This is cut on 45, so it's a great album. Glad I got this one. And again, this is Sorry to Bother You, the album, not the soundtrack. But the soundtrack is still good. Check the soundtrack out. I do have a copy of that. And if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie, man. So shout out to Cool. Sorry to Bother You for S. All right, T. For T, I went with CJ Mack. This is Mad CJ Mack. This is True Game. And this was his effort put forth at Rap A Lot. You know, CJ Mack out of California. And he partnered with Rap A Lot and released True Game back in the day. Super hard album, man. I really liked CJ Mack. When the single for this one, when it came out, was Powder Puff. And I mean, he was hurting some people's feelings. Might have messed up some opportunities that he could have been given with that song. But again, and this is a kind of rare one as well. This one has been bootlegged a couple times. This is a OG. This is an OG from a Rap A Lot press. But I believe Armabillion and another label like pressed up some of these. But shout out CJ Mack. And this is True Game. My choice for T. All right. For you, I chose Lil Flip. This is Underground Legend. This is a old school Southern classic, I'll say. I spoke about my Cadillac back in the days. When I bought my Cadillac, leaving the dealership, this CD was the first CD I played. And it was This Is the Way We Ball. This is how we ball all the way home. But shout out Lil Flip. Flip was doing his thing for a while. And this is a pretty good album. I believe it's the Can You Feel Me album that kind of really boosted him up. And I guess his issues with T.I. did not help his career that much. But Flip's still doing his thing in Texas. You don't have to be seen on the internet to do your thing, you know? So shout out Flip. This is Underground Legend. Straight out of Texas. All right. For V, I chose the legendary D'Angelo. This is Voodoo. This is D'Angelo's second album. R.I.P. D'Angelo. This is D'Angelo's second masterpiece, I say. This is a great album. Yeah, we lost a good one, but we still have this body of work. Not like, you know, Brown Sugar was a good album. But if you've never heard Voodoo, go listen to it, man. From the production to the singing, this is a great album, man. So R.I.P. D'Angelo. Let's move along. All right, we're coming down to it. For W, I went with Ja Rule, The Damager. And this is Wrath of the Math. This is Ja Rule's second album. This is a super hard album. Lyrical content is always top notch. I respected this album when it came out, just like his first album. You know, at times the rap game gets stagnant. Everybody's talking about the same thing, or all the beats sound the same, and there's people that come through and shake it up if you're willing to listen, you know. So when this one came out, this was one that I appreciated, and to this day, it's one of my favorite albums. So shout out Ja Rule, The Damager, and this is Wrath of the Math. All right, so we come to X, and X is another one where it's like what albums do I have to choose for X? And you think like this is gonna be so hard. No, not really. kind of like Q. This is the only album that I have that starts with X, and it's like the way they spell it. If they spelled it the correct way, it wouldn't work at all. But this is X Clan, and this is the Exodus album. And see, due to the way it is spelled, it works. If not, I would have had to go with nothing. I have no other records that start with X. So this is my choice. X Clan, Exodus. You know, X Clan were different. They brought a different perspective to the game when they came out. And shout out to them. RP Professor X, shout out Brother J. And like they whole crew. So X Clan, Exodus. My choice for X. All right. For Y, I chose my guys. All right, this is Kris Kross, and this is their third album, Young, Rich, and Dangerous. And this was a solid album, man. You know, their first album, they were kids and like really, really kids. And I was like the same age when it came out. And then The Bomb came, and The Bomb was decent, you know. But when they dropped this album, they were mature. They were mature. And the beats on this and their lyrics were straight. And this was probably their most solid effort. And this one, like, I've actually playing this record like 2 days ago. So RIP Chris Kelly, shout out Chris Smith. This is Kris Kross is my choice for Y. And this is Young, Rich, and Dangerous. All right. We have come to the end. The last letter of the alphabet is Z. All right, man. How many records do you have that start with Z? You know? And like with me, it's kind of like the Q and the X. I'm like, what am I going to choose? Yeah, I only have one record that starts with Z. And that is the second installment from Arrested Development. And this is Zingalama. I was talking to my wife about this challenge, and she's like, "You got something for Z?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Zingalama. And she's like, "That's not an album." So I had to like pull it up on my phone, like, "Yo, like it's Arrested Development's second album." Yes, man. Zingalama by Arrested Development. Critically and majorly slept on album, yo. Everybody knows their first album, and that is a great album. But if you have never heard Zingalama by Arrested Development, do yourself a favor. Not right now. Finish this video. But when you finish this video, after you like it and you share it and stuff like that, go check out this album, man. Yeah, it aged well. So shout out Speech and everybody that is a part or was a part of Arrested Development, man. All right, man. So that is it. A through Z, I was able to do it. Are you able to do it? If you own records, man, and you think that you can attack this challenge, do it, man. Shout out to the Vinyl Vulture for presenting the challenge. And yo, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Yo, if you are seeing this right now, shout out to you. I appreciate you for watching the video, man. And if you haven't and you still here, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't and you still here, hit the subscribe button, man. And hit that bell notification, yo, because I will be dropping videos, as my daughter said, more consistently. And this was fun. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate all y'all. Till the next time. Peace.